Hello, my name is Kyle Steele. I'm running for Norman City Council, Ward 6 in the upcoming election cycle, and this is a summary for what happened in the Oversight Committee meeting on November 13th, 2025. The first part of this meeting was devoted to EMSSTAT in Norman, and for those of you who aren't aware, this is the ambulance service here in Norman, as well as parts of Moore and the more rural areas of Cleveland County. It's under the management of the Norman Regional Health System. However, it utilizes the Norman City Dispatch. So, at a high-level overview, you call 911, you get the Norman City Dispatch, and if you need ambulance service, they will then contact EMSSTAT, relay all the pertinent information, and then EMSSTAT will send the ambulance out to you for your emergency call. Now, the first part of this meeting was over a lot of statistics and metrics on what EMSSTAT does, and I'm not going to go over all this in the summary, but I will link them down below in the agenda packet. So if you're kind of interested in just the raw metrics, I would encourage you to take a look at that. But the bottom line for that is overall, the ambulance system in Norman, operated by EMSSTAT, is doing a pretty good job. The people who use it, they don't have any complaints about it, and while call volume has gone up over the years, it's still within expected norms. As the population increases, of course, you're going to see 911 calls increase as well. Now, after the metrics, the interesting thing that was talked about regarding the ambulance service is the possibility of having a subscription service that residents could opt into in Norman. Obviously, the details of what that price point would be would have to be worked out, but at a high-level overview, essentially, you would get some kind of surcharge that you would opt into on your utility bill, so that the city would bill you on behalf of EMSSTAT, essentially. And then if you had an ambulance come to the residence that you were getting billed at, and you had to get transport to the hospital, then you would not owe any out-of-pocket costs after insurance. So just, real basic example. Let's say, you owe $1,000 for an ambulance service. Insurance covers $500 of that. If you are doing this monthly subscription service, then you would not have to pay that other $500 that you normally would. Now, the other ambulance services that service other parts of Oklahoma and around the country do offer a similar service, and so there was kind of consensus among the city council that this is maybe something that should be looked into and explored, and so I would expect them to circle back on this in a few months, essentially, while EMSSTAT does their research into what they would have to charge for such a service. The last bit of the meeting was going over the possible use of portable restrooms in city parks. Now, that being said, this isn't just kind of like the normal porta potties that we all might be used to at like the medieval fair or other kind of outdoor venues. This is essentially a full service restroom. Like, it has air conditioning in the summer, it has heating in the winter. They are cleaned daily or multiple times a day, depending on the service package that you offer. And the best way to think of it is the premier experience for using a portable restroom. The downside to these is they are quite costly to roll out, especially for Norman. Essentially, the company that is pitching these restrooms, that was giving the presentation to the city council, they are not already established in the Oklahoma City market. They're mainly in West Coast markets currently. So in order for them to do a rollout in Oklahoma City metro area, they would have to commit a certain number of resources, or, a certain number of units would have to be bought. And Norman just does not have the financial capacity to buy all those units, and there probably isn't a need for that many either. Now, that being said, a market for them is what's considered within, a 45-minute drive. So that would cover most of the Oklahoma City metro. So there is a possibility that Norman could partner with other municipalities in the area, most notably Oklahoma City, to see if these, premier portable restrooms in high traffic outdoor areas is something that is worthwhile exploring. The city manager is essentially going to talk to his counterparts in other municipalities to see if this is something that, that there's a possibility to budget for in upcoming fiscal years. So I wouldn't expect to see anything this fiscal year, but if Oklahoma City is open to the idea, if Moore is open to the idea, if Edmond is open to the idea of these kind of premier public restrooms for parks or other kind of outdoor venues, then Norman might be seeing 1 or 2 of these units in the next fiscal year after that. That being said, that was it. It's a very mundane meeting. Lasted about an hour of 10 minutes. I'll link the timestamps below as usual. But once again, my name is Kyle Steele. I'm running for Norman Ward 6 City Council, and I wish you all a good day.